Y'all, we are growing. We are like a real life community out here doing the things, and I don't want to make you feel pressured, but we've got a thing going on. Okay, so if you're new here, if this is the first time you've seen a video, I highly suggest you hit the like and subscribe button, okay? Because there's some big things planned for the year to come. I'm just really excited about it. From the bottom of my heart to all of you who have subscribed, I just want to say a huge thank you. My heart is just filled with so much gratitude. You could be watching anybody else, and for you to subscribe, it just really means a lot to me. So thank you for being here. For those of you who are familiar, I am a pivot coach and a content creator. A lot of the things that I discuss are all centered around life, love, and the pursuit of purpose. A lot of them have a heavy focus on real life experiences, the way God shows up in my life, the way God shows up in the situations of some of the folks that I coach. I bring in aspects of my coaching practice and pair it with those life experiences. And today I decided I wanted to start a series. So over the course of the next few videos, I want to talk about idolatry. Adultery? No, that's something different. And on today's video, I want to kick off the series by talking about idolizing marriage. I don't know why I'm so nervous about this. I think it's because I never shared this in a public space, but I'm gonna just be really real about where I've been in my life. I've been back in the dating scene for a while. So those of you who've been following me for a while know that I have been back in the dating scene for almost 3 years. I'd say like 2.5. And it's been quite the experience for several reasons. Before, when I was dating, I was very much so coming from a place of just wanting to enjoy the experiences. I'm attracted to you, you're attracted to me. That's enough, not enough. Up until I turned 30. When I turned 30, there was just something that clicked in my head that made me realize that I really wanted marriage. I was really ready for it. I had come out of a relationship I had been in for like about 2 years. I really believed that I had what it would take to make a marriage work. I ended up getting into that marriage very shortly after. I ended up getting into a relationship in which I did attempt to marry him. And I'm going to say attempt. We got engaged. We did some of the process, but that's another story for another day. Honestly, I have videos on it if you want to look for it. I learned in that situation that I was right about myself. I am a good wife. I am someone who would make a wonderful partner. But what I also learned was that it mattered, deeply mattered who you were married to. When I got out of that relationship, what I found happening was I kind of stopped dating altogether. Because as I was looking around and looking at how the dating landscape had changed and started kind of seeing how there wasn't much value on what a woman could bring to a man, or what a wife really meant, what a husband really meant, like what those words really truly mean in a partnership. And I started feeling like there wasn't a space or a place for people like me who truly understood what it meant to commit to vows, who truly understood what it meant to do life with another person. And I got really discouraged. I remember being at a family function once. I don't even know how to say this, but I feel like if you have spiritual people in your family, if you're a spiritual person, then this won't sound strange. They have the gift of prophecy, some of them, and I received one from some trusted family members. And one of the major things that I got from that prophecy was their belief that I would be married again. They were so sure of it that they were kind of telling me these certain characteristics about who the person I was marrying, things that I would even think about that person. And I remember being like, are you sure? I was so discouraged. I was so down about the aspect of marriage, but they said something to me that kind of like sent off this bell, like, oh, maybe y'all know what y'all are talking about. And the thing that they shared was something that I had only spoken to God about. Now, what ended up happening was that I started to believe so much in the prophecy that was received that I began to move in a way with that at the front of my mind. Never gave me the specifics of exactly who it was. I attached a person to it by my own doing. And in doing that, I found myself growing more and more frustrated as time would go on. I would ask the Lord about them, like, hey, what's he doing over there? I started to kind of rebel against the prophecy. When you receive a word that is given to God by someone, you still need to test the spirit. If God is able to speak to them about your marriage, why would God not speak to you about it? And it doesn't mean that they were wrong by any aspect. It means what I was supposed to do with that was not run with it. I was supposed to take it to God. Instead, I started to rebel. I started to get frustrated. I started to date again. Let me tell you, when you're frustrated with God, that is just like not the best time to go out and date, because what ends up happening is you open yourself up to more people and you take off some of the parameters that were honestly really necessary. I know now that God gave me that prophecy because he needed me to have parameters. He needed me to have standards for the people that were coming into my life. Because at that particular time, God was still working out for me the different steps and phases that I was going to need to go through to fulfill purpose, kingdom purpose. I could not and cannot afford to be with someone who does not revere and center God around every single decision that they make. Because what we're going to do when we come together is essential to the kingdom. Begin to idolize the idea of who this person in my life could be. I was so close to it before in my brain by having exchanged vows with someone that I was obsessed with getting there. I liked being married more than I liked being single, and not because my marriage was wonderful, but because I liked who I got to show up as in a marriage. Begin to idolize marriage. I don't think there's anything wrong with having Pinterest boards or like saying the date that you want to get married in faith. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you have a word with God, if you're bringing this back to God, he's confirming it to you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Where we mess up, we get so focused on the resource that we forget about the source. We start to honor and worship this ideal that we forget who gave us the gift. And that was the problem. That is the difference. When things wouldn't work out with a person, or when someone would disappoint me, or a relationship would come to an end, I would feel this sense of rebellion, like, all right, well, maybe God just doesn't want this for me, or maybe this is not how it's going to be. He never said that. Who told you that? Some people aren't meant to be out here dating whoever, whenever. I'm some people. And so the attachments and the disappointments that I felt to that were my own doing. God wasn't trying to be out here having me be hurt. And yes, sure, every now and again, I think he threw a lesson my way. But for the most part, I was out there of my own volition, doing things that put me in a position to be attached to people that I wasn't supposed to be attached to, spending way more time with folks than I needed to, and constantly having to be in this cycle of asking God if this is the person, finding out that he's not, and then having to go back to God to get him to repair my heart. It was the cycle that was bringing me further and further away from not just God, but the word that he gave me about my life. There are a lot of people out here in this world who are good people. There are a lot of guys out here in this world who really believe that they can give you what you need based on the fact that they're good and you're good. But you have to understand that there's a difference between good and God. I was in a situation with a man, and we actually didn't date very long at all, but I could feel myself at this crossroads. And I knew that I can't believe how honest I'm being on this video, but this particular guy, he stood out to me. And he stood out in ways because there were a lot of characteristics that I saw that I found deeply attractive. But there were also characteristics that I saw that I found deeply worrisome. And I remember thinking to myself, I have a choice. I could possibly be with this person. I could see what he needed. I could see what he was looking for. I could see that I very much had the qualities there, and I could become his wife. But I knew that if I were to become his wife, get into a relationship, get it connected, that becoming his wife would mean that I would have to give up some of the vision that God had given me for my future. I had to decide, do I want good or do I want God? Because I believed that that person was growing to care enough about me to make some of the changes that I would have needed in order to feel comfortable. But it would not have been true to who either of us could be in our full capacity, in that full space. So I had to do something that I really didn't want to do, which was let him go. And when I let him go, I did so understanding that I had finally broken the space between idolizing marriage and worshiping God. Every time you settle, you get less than what you settle for. And God, I truly believe, used that first marriage, that first relationship to teach me how deeply thrown off course you can be when you fall out of alignment with God and you choose from flesh instead of what you know to be right. And I believe that he gave me that prophecy because he wanted me to understand how careful and thoughtful he is being about a partner for me. I want to tell you a few things that I did to make the pivot, to get me to a place where I no longer idolized marriage, to get to a place where I no longer idolized who I was as a wife or who I could be as a wife in the right marriage. I finally got to a place where it wasn't about idolizing God. It was about where I understood that marriage was a tool. Marriage is a tool in fulfilling your purpose in the kingdom, but you're still just as valuable without that tool. Some people have different resources. Some people have thousands and thousands of followers. That's their tool. Some people have children. That's their tool for serving the kingdom. And understanding where to place marriage in, and not diminishing its importance, but also not inflating its importance either, was such a change in my mindset and my heart posture. So I want to talk to you just about a few things that I did to get me there that I think can be helpful for you too. One of the first things I did when I was looking to stop the pattern of idolizing marriage in my life was to connect to God's word, connect to the things that he said about me. And when I say word, I mean specifically, I believe it's Exodus 23:6 talks about having no other man before God, no idols. It's very clear about God being first and foremost in your life. Do we love this, or does it show up? Is this showing up? I don't know if I used to love this blush, but I don't know. You know how certain days it's almost like your skin tone's a little different, and I don't feel like I'm loving this. Do I need more? Do I need less? Is it just enough? Am I completely tripping all the way around? Let's mix it with another color. How about that? I always think, oh, the audacity of people to do this, but I did it. Romans chapter 1, verses 21 through 23, it talks about, for although they knew God, they did not honor him, became futile in their thinking, and their hearts darkened. I was seeing that happen to me in real life. I was out here not honoring God in my decisions, not going to God. I was so convinced that showing up as my best and full self could only be done with marriage as a part of it. And how little do I think of myself if that is my belief? How little do I think of God if I only feel the full breadth of his love for me, the full care and thoughtfulness of his plan for my life if marriage is not attached to it? God has taken me to work in all of these incredible industries, plan events with incredible people, work alongside big names and important names and powerful people. And yet I still keep going back to, but I'm not married yet and I don't have kids yet. And it doesn't mean that I should diminish that. I don't think that it's even wrong for me to want that, but I can want that without diminishing God. I can want that without diminishing what he has done. I can want that without thinking that I'm not my full and best self if I don't have that, because I am. I am because I am. I am because of who he says I am. Second thing I did was start to create. Create means a lot of things. I started to get back into my creative hobbies. I created spaces for myself that felt comfortable. I created spaces for myself that truly honored who I was now and where I've come from and what I've done. I created opportunities to celebrate myself and celebrate my relationships that mean so much to me. What it started to do for me was help to remind me of how full and vibrant and beautiful life is, even without having all of the desires of your heart met yet. And the last thing was community. I am constantly reminded how God shows up in a community of people, of like-minded individuals, whether that be church, whether that be women you golf with or men you golf with, or your girls, your guys, whoever your people are. Community can save your life. Community can change your life. And I was really serious about building up one that meant a lot for me. A lot of folks know that I moved to a new city at the top of last year. And so I've been here over a year now, and it really has been a challenge to expand community. I've met some very, very beautiful people, but I noticed that whenever I would get down or I was having an off day, I would go right back into that shell. And while I've always been that person, I can be just as outgoing as I can be introspective. I realize that when I'm getting into those spaces that I need to tap back into the community, allow folks the opportunity to show up for me, allow folks the opportunity to be a part of this life experience that I'm having at all of the stages. And that's been revolutionary for me. I've been looking for opportunities to volunteer and serve again, because I feel like that is truly me at my highest capacity. I don't want anyone to walk away from this video and feel like their desires for marriage are wrong or futile or unimportant to God. Quite the contrary, I think it matters to him very much. It's why he calls the church his bride. What I want you to walk away from this video with is that God deserves more than the changing of our feelings based upon the season that we're in. God deserves praise through it all. There's a verse, I really want to look it up for you. There's a verse that talks about how God will gift you, will bless you in every single season. God will bless you in every single season. Why would we believe that God wouldn't care about something that's so dear to our hearts? Why would we believe that we know better when it comes to choosing, that we know better when it comes to alignment? God can see the future. God can see our past. God knows things about your partner that you won't know until time or ever. God should be doing the matchmaking. God should be doing the planning. Truly pray that you enjoyed this video, that you found it helpful. Please stick with me on the idolatry series. I love you. I hope you have the best day ever, and I'll see you on the next video.